everybody? Welcome back to Everyday Whiskey, and I'm Dan.
And I'm Mike.
And tonight's episode is called Local Nights, where we're going to feature our favorite local craft bourbon distilleries.
Yes.
So, Mike, let's introduce these whiskeys.
Alright, so first up we have Penelope. This is a really cool one. Dan's going to explain why in just a second. Trust me, I know it might not seem local to people who may know this product, but it is. And we'll reveal that shortly. And I'm going to be doing Muckley Eye Rye, which is different because neither of us are really rye drinkers at all.
But Mike will explain why this rye, I think, is a little different.
And also with Muckley Eye, we're going to take its brother over here, and we're going to do some Muckley Eye bourbon. Let's simmer those a little bit better. And I'm going to do a cool little thing at the end of this video. I'm going to do a vertical between these two because I've never actually done it before with anything, not just these products. I've just never done a rye next to a bourbon before.
Yeah, I happen to
kind of hard to believe.
I happened to get these two bottles, and I did it myself, and it was a cool little educational thing to do. And I told Mike he's definitely going to try it himself.
Yeah.
And yeah, we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah. So let's jump into the Penelope. What do you got for us?
So basically, Penelope, as Mike said, some people might not consider this a New Jersey craft bourbon, but I consider it just because Mike and Carrie Paladin and Dan Polly's, who founded Penelope Bourbon.
Not me, Mike.
Yeah, not this Mike. Other Mike. I know Mike, though. The other Mike. I know Mike Paladin. He's a great guy. They founded it out of Basking Ridge, New Jersey. They are partners. If you know this name, it's pretty cool. It's kind of a geek, like a whiskey geek name. Castle and Key Distillery in Bardstown, Kentucky. Shout out to the bourbon capital of the country.
Oh yeah, Bardstown.
But basically, Castle and Key Distillery is in the Old Taylor. If you know the last name Taylor in whiskey, that is a big name. Huge name in whiskey. It's the Old Taylor Distillery. And basically, this is a 2 to 3 year aged, 4-grain, small batch bourbon. And for anyone who's trying to watch their figure, it's 100 calories per every 1.5 ounces. So for every shot you take, it's 100 calories.
Yeah,
I don't watch my figure when I'm drinking whiskey, but if you do.
Do you watch your figure at all?
Nope, I do not.
Neither. And I don't even have.
I will not explain to you what I had for lunch either. But yeah, it is just a very straightforward, very easy drinking whiskey. It is when I say 4-grain whiskey, I basically am telling you that there is rye, wheat, malted barley, and corn in here. And it has to be 51% corn to be considered a bourbon in the U.S., as opposed to the other whiskey we're going to feature in a couple seconds, which is not that. But basically, as we said, as we found in the last episode, we didn't really explain a lot of terminology that well.
And we should. That's what this channel's for.
We should explain the terminology a little well. And one of our viewers actually commented on our video saying that we did not explain the terminology during the video. And from now on, we definitely are going to do that. When I say something, I'm going to explain it. So when we say things like small batch and single barrel, I'm going to explain it to you.
Yeah.
Small batch.
And you know what, guys? If we do say something and you don't know what it is, even if it's something real generic, don't be afraid to speak up and comment, because we will address it.
We'll address it in the next episode.
Yeah, we will address it in the next episode, but we'll even reply maybe on your comment directly too, just to let you know and explain anything, because there's some things that to us might be common knowledge, but to others might not be. So we might forget some things here or there. It's just human nature. So the next let us know. Keep an eye out.
So the next single barrel bourbon we get, I'm gonna when I'm drinking it, I will, or you're drinking it, I think we should explain what it is.
Yeah. So let's get it. What is single barrel?
So single barrel basically means that you have one barrel, and it is a barrel that represents one aging process. So in Eagle Rare's situation, it's a 10-year aging process. It represents what that whiskey tastes like in that 10-year process of aging. It represents the master distillers and master blenders' skill and showcases it. But it's not a consistent way to make bourbon. It's not a consistent way to make a bourbon flavored. So it's different. It's different for every aging process due to the climate and due to basically where it may be placed in the rick house. Blah 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 blah. Along those lines.
I mean, for example, like Dan said, Eagle Year, 10 years. A lot happens in 10 years. And every decade is different from one to the next. So you're never going to have a 100% consistent. But I'll say
you try your best.
You'll have a very high percentage consistency rate with as far as the master distiller goes and how he performs the rest of the distilling technique in order to produce such a fine quality liquid. And that's really is impressive that despite that large amount of years, I'll say that all those years,
They're able to
10
create a product
years,
that close.
they could still create one from one 10-year period to the next 10-year period and have it be pretty close and pretty spot on to each other.
But that's the only thing with this.
That's
But,
cool.
but that's the only thing with single barrels though is they do not have a very consistent flavor from
They
these
don't.
times.
They
So, but that's the thing with like a small batch like this is that they're actually pulling from 3 different mash bills, 3 different select casks of bourbon, and making them one, which makes a very consistent and very repeatable way to make the same flavor in this
Yeah.
bourbon. And when we'll go into the flavor of the bourbon that I have in front of me right now. So basically, it's a very approachable, very light, very easy drinking bourbon. The wheat really helps this bourbon a lot, and the low rye spice count, which I could be wrong. If you want to comment, let me know if I'm saying. But it's probably less than 20% rye. So I love this just because how creamy it is. It's very easy to drink. It's very light for how creamy it is. It's a very sessionable bourbon,
Yep.
and it's a very beginner-friendly bourbon. It's a very cocktail-friendly bourbon.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
it's super universal. So I think Penelope, what they've done with this product, is kind of amazing. It's so light, so easy to drink. There's not a lot of that Kentucky hug, as we're going to find later
Yeah.
with some other products, which is not a bad thing. It just means that it's got a kick to it, which some people love that kick. I love that kick.
Yeah, that
That's
Kentucky
why,
hug,
you know-
that's that burn you feel.
But
when
I also
it's
love bourbons
right
that I
here
can
in
just
your
kick
chest.
back on a Tuesday night and I can just drink it and not worry about a thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I can not worry about a thing in the world. So this bottle right here, you're gonna find on the shelf around $40 in that area, more or less, some places. If you see this bottle, I would definitely pick it up. If you're questioning whether to pick it up or not to pick it up, get it. It
Yes.
is a
Definitely get it.
great local crafted product
All their products. Get
by
them.
some great local
Penelope's
people.
phenomenal.
So Mike, let's get into the whiskey you got here, bud.
All right, so I'm going to jump right into the Muckley Rye. So again, like I stated, or may not have stated, that I'm not a rye guy. Neither is Dan over. We're
Not at
not
all.
big rye people.
No, not at all.
I've had several, and I can't get into them. However, this one, and there's one other one which we're going to feature again in another later episode. I love. I think they're phenomenal, and I could drink them. I genuinely like them. You know, I don't even need to add any water, any ice.
I think you were drinking it
nothing,
neat,
straight
actually.
up. I was
You're
drinking.
drinking it neat.
And that's something I like to do. I prefer to try my stuff neat where
Gives you the
applicable.
true flavor. It gives you true
It
flavor.
does.
There's no add,
It's
no,
the best
no
way to
additives.
have it. I don't
Yeah.
chill it. I don't add ice. I don't add water. I just like to pour it straight out of the bottle, room temp, and throw it back and see what happens and enjoy
Throw
it.
it back. Just throw it
Yeah,
back.
just throw it back. Shout out to AER right there. They're a great band. Great band. So, anyway, Muckley, they are from Colts Neck, New Jersey, and Colts Neck is, what, 25 minutes
Yeah,
from
25, 30 minutes.
Yeah,
give or
25,
take.
30 minutes. They're very close. They're off of Route 34, if anyone's familiar with that route in Jersey. It's
And if
right.
you're not, you have a smartphone and a GPS.
Yeah,
Google them.
it's close.
Go to them.
It's actually a pretty popular road. Most people know 34, 35, 36,
I know 38.
and 38. It's right next to a better point of reference is Delicious Orchards. A lot of people, any of our Jersey viewers, probably have either been to or have at least heard of Delicious Orchards. Phenomenal apple picking area. Shout out to Delicious Orchards here in Jersey come fall time. So this rye is, I'm just gonna say it's a lot of pepper. That's really what I get. I mean, that's the primary that jumps out to me the most is the pepper.
As
more
every
than
rye
anything.
should. You should have a little zest to it. I say zest when it comes to rye. It's not spice. It's a zest. It's a very nice little kick in the pants when it comes to whiskey.
Yeah, I like it though. I mean, I'm a big spice guy, so I love that.
Yeah. That's definitely be up your alley.
Smooth. You had a little bit of vanilla on the back end. They say some honey. I don't get a lot of the honey, but I do get the vanilla. I do get the spice. It's very
Definitely.
smooth.
Vanilla's definitely some of the sweetness you get.
Crisp, clean. There's no lingering bite, but there is a bit of a lingering flavor, which is fine because it's a really good flavor, and I like that a lot. You know, as far as when I said bite, what I'm talking about again is that, you know, as Dan said, the Kentucky hug, that little burn that you get from about here down. So I like it. It's phenomenal rye, and I think we're going to try and complement that now with its brother here, the bourbon. And just to let you know, I'm going to do the rye, which I've already just sampled.
I
and
go for the bourbon right now. Yeah, there you go.
So we're gonna go right for the bourbon and see how these two stack up, and see if I could really differentiate between the rye and the bourbon, and if it confirms that I am more.
It's a
bourbon
cool little
guy or
test,
not.
you know,
Yeah.
and you definitely should be able to differentiate between two because they're totally two different bourbons.
They
Or
are.
two different whiskeys.
Yep.
So have at it, buddy.
All right. So right off the bat, you could tell that the bourbon, you get a little bit more
Just by smelling.
caramel notes on the nose, a little bit sweeter on the nose than the rye. But I have a feeling the taste is going to be a little bit different.
Don't judge a book. Basically, what he's saying is don't judge a book by its cover when it comes to whiskey.
Yeah. So the nose, like I said, caramel, sweet, very light. The taste, however, and the profile,
I didn't get
oaky. Yeah,
Got a lot of
it's
wood.
oaky. It's a bold bourbon. It really does not reflect the nose at all, and that's not a bad thing. Not at all, especially for me. Since I
Specify
like,
on the
I don't know,
bottle.
does it specify anything on there?
No, I was just trying to make sure because I believe that this bottle, like, and like I said, if you know better than me, even if luckily I actually watched this video, comment and let me know. This is probably is only aged like 2 to 3 years, somewhere in that area.
I would
And
say
for-
that's impressive.
For
to
the
get all that
aging,
oak
the
off there.
flavor that you have in this is pretty impressive, even with the rye as well. It just shows you what happens
Yeah, it's
when
a bold
you
bourbon.
reorganize ingredients. It shows you what happens to flavor of bourbon when you reorganize the ingredients. Like obviously when you go 51% corn as opposed to 51% rye, like it just shows you how far things can change. And that's the fun part of whiskey. It's a fun part of playing with.
A lot of spice. Still
With
a lot of
ingredients.
spice on this one.
Oh yeah,
Completely different.
but balanced, spice but balanced.
Oh yeah, by far, it's balanced. All right.
But
Well,
all right, so
they're
far,
different.
end of the
Very
day,
different.
this is the end all be all test because that's one non-rye drinker to another non-rye drinker. Out of the two, which one would you see yourself daily drinking?
It's gonna come as a surprise, but I'm gonna take the rye.
As I had the same
I'm
result,
definitely gonna take the rye over the bourbon.
and just
with
so
this
you guys know that I'm not being biased here, Mike, I didn't tell you what my
one. No.
choice was.
And I'm
before
not
this,
shooting
right?
down the bourbon at all. I'm not saying the bourbon.
No, we're not
bad by
shortchanging
any
the
means.
bourbon at all. The bourbon's a solid product.
I just prefer the rye.
The rye just has, to me, has a really great flavor. It's got more complex
Phenomenal
flavors. And like you can even see, like I don't even know if you can see in the camera.
Well, those are my notes on the back.
Yeah, he's got some notes on the back. But the color is slightly different. The rye's got a little darker color to it. But overall, this episode, what we're trying to do here is we're basically just trying to showcase some local distilleries, local companies that are doing what these big guys are doing. And
Yes.
for a fraction of some of the prices for what the quality of product that's being put out here, they have $40 on this. You have $45 to $50 on this, and $45 to $50 on this.
And by all means, $45, $50, excellent price range, especially for something local. You know, local
Yeah, you're gonna
prices
pay more
tend
for
to be a
local.
little bit more expensive.
Yeah.
You're going to pay a premium, but that's just because they're small, man. They're starting out. They can't produce a product like this and market it at the lowest price possible. They won't break
So if
even.
you
They
wanna
won't even break even. They'll be stuck in the red the entire time.
Yeah, so if you want to
They
shop
gotta charge a
local,
premium.
you might have to pay a little extra, but we encourage you guys, get out there,
Definitely.
try these whiskeys, break out of your comfort zone, and just grab a bottle on a Friday night. Just grab a bottle you've never grabbed before, and just
Go for it. Go for it.
So-
And make sure that bottle's empty by Sunday. No, I'm just kidding. You don't have to do that. But
How we want to end every episode is, please, I hope you enjoy watching this episode. I hope you enjoy one of these three whiskeys at some point in the next near future. But most of all, we want you to like, we want you to subscribe, and we want you to comment, negative or positive.
yes, please
And-
give us feedback. We appreciate the feedback. It's only going to help us improve so we can deliver
Exactly.
a better video for you guys.
First
and
of all,
more
Mike,
informative.
Cheers to another video.
Cheers. Number
Cheers
two.
to you guys.
Cheers
Thank you
to
very
you
much.
guys.